YouTube, I am Pexelated Pete, and welcome to My 2 Bits, the show where I find a topic and everyone can chip in their 2 bits. Today's episode, CGI shows. Now, the Electronic Entertainment Expo has come and gone, and they've showcased off a variety of digital greatness. I mean, we've seen all these great games that are going to be coming out this year and next year. But that made me think about something. All these games, the way they are animated, some of them look so real and some of them are blatantly cartoony. And then I remember that some games actually became TV shows. So then I thought, hey, remember all those shows that were CGI? Well, so I decided to look into it, and I found an entire list of shows that are all CGI. I will put the link in the description below. So yeah, I remember seeing a whole bunch of these shows. Now, it's amazing. There's so many shows on TV, so this is a very small demographic of CGI shows. And the amount of shows that I watched is smaller, and the amount of shows that I liked is even smaller than that. Alright. So, now normally I do a top 10, but since there's a bunch of shows that I like, I upped it to a whopping 16. That's right. You're getting 6 extra shows. More bang for your non-existent buck. So this is going to be a bit of a long one, so y'all might want to kick back, relax, and maybe grab yourself a drink or a snack, because Pixelated Pete presents his 2 bits and his top 16 favorite CGI shows. And if I've missed any, or if there's one that you like, check out the link below and put in your 2 bits. And now, the list. Now, before we get to the top 16, I'd like to make some honorable mentions. To begin, Tak and the Power of Juju. Now, I mentioned this one first because this show is based on a game. Now, this game came out also along the same times as Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper. And of all 4 of these games, the 3 that I played are the ones that didn't get the television series. I didn't know anything about Tak and the Power of Juju, but I just felt that Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, I think they could have gotten away with a TV series. So I was a little disappointed, but that's an honorable mention. And speaking of video games as TV shows, I'd also like to honorably mention Donkey Kong Country. Now, I saw a couple of these episodes. It was on a channel, and it was on at a weird time, but I did see a couple of episodes, and this was many years ago. It was basically a series of what happens, exists inside the Donkey Kong Country universe from the Super NES. It was great. They had Donkey, Diddy, Candy, Dixie, and Grumpy, and they had King K. Rool, and they had some other characters that weren't in the games and kind of a story, but it was interesting. And then finally, bringing up the rear for the honorable mentions is IGPX and Code Lyoko. Now, these shows, they do have CGI in it, but only half the time. The other half, it is hand-drawn, so that kind of nixes it for this category. All 16 of these videos, all 16 of these shows are all CGI. IGPX was great with the robot races, but it wasn't happening all the time. And Code Lyoko, it was a good series, but like I said, half of it was animated. That was supposed to be the real world, but the CGI world was the digital world appropriately. So those are the honorable mentions. And now, onto the top 16. At number 16, Cubix. Now, this show aired on the kids' WB on Saturday mornings a couple years back. The premise was, in the near future, everyone has a personal robot to help him or her with whatever they need to be doing. This one kid who doesn't have a robot moves to the robot town, and he builds and befriends the robot Cubix. A robot that looks like a bunch of building blocks put together, except for a few areas where it looks, robot-like. So,
it's weird the way. So the way and the robot Cubix is actually able to disassemble and reassemble himself into pieces in different shapes as needed. So he could be kind of. He kind of reminds me of Knack, the character for the new PS4 game, and the way he has the speech. Broken speech box when he first starts out and the way he's repaired, it's like a Bumblebee from Transformers. So I think at number 15, SD Gundam. A while back, so the Gundam Wing series has been in a very established anime for many years. It's the popular giant robot versus giant robot war series. So when I saw this series, I thought it was pretty funny. It was a nice change from the typical setup, and I thought it was pretty funny the way some of the characters acted. And at the end of several episodes, they had a special called the Zaku Zaku Hour, which I thought was hilarious. Unfortunately, several of my friends at the time, who were also hardcore Gundam Wing fans, thought the show was just awful. But so I kept quiet about my personal taste for it. But still, I thought it was very funny. You should check it out if you get the chance. At number 14, Heavy Gear. As I mentioned in the honorable mentions category, there was IGPX. It was a show where it was a robot combat league, but then became robot combat league racing. And I think, well, here Heavy Gear, they went the opposite route. They stuck with their guns, in figurative and metaphorical sense. So it's basically you have like a rough and tough team of outcasts who are trying to make it in the big leagues, and are just barely getting by with their victories, versus a group of corporate sponsored team, a team that has access to all the best stuff. So you have like a team uniform military format versus a bunch of free for all team that is able to get the job done. So it was really interesting. If you get a chance, check out Heavy Gear. It's pretty good. At number 13, The League of Super Evil, or LOOS for short. All right. For many years, we've always had the goofy hero that always seems to succeed just by pure luck, like Inspector Gadget or Hong Kong Phooey. Now, imagine that principle only applied to the villains and have them always lose. Sort of like Ed, Ed, and Eddie, the proverbial underdogs. Pretty much that was the League of Super Evil. You had Moltar, a Napoleonic leader, short in size and grandiose dreams. Dr. Frog, quote, genius, end quote. Red Menace. I'm pretty sure if given the chance he would have actually been a good guy, granted incompetent. And Doomageddon, quite possibly the only evil member of the team. Some kind of evil demonic dog thing. It was a very good show. I highly recommend it. At number 12, Stormhawks. This is brought to us by the same people that did the League of Super Evil. And they were aired almost at the same time, so very close. Now this I actually liked. The concept was, let's see, it's almost like Jak and Daxter from the Lost Frontier and Skies of Arcadia. It was pretty cool. You had they had motorcycles, but these things were actually able to fly. Very interesting design concept. The animation was great, and it was pretty good. Like, you had an evil empire wanting to take over all these sky islands, and then you had the heroes that were constantly trying to stop them, though sometimes their equipment was woefully undermatched. It was a pretty good series. I just wish I'd actually seen how it ended, because the series was going good, but then it got pulled from the television I was watching. Sorry. At number 11, The Penguins of Madagascar. Okay, now it's weird when a TV series becomes a film, or even weirder when a film has a TV spin-off. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I liked this because you had the four main characters who were now away from the zoo, and then you had the story about the penguins who were continuing their exploits. This could, I think the series could take place before or after the events of the Madagascar film series. And it was really great. It was funny seeing how these guys take everything so seriously and blow it all out of proportion for their secret agent commando stylings. It was a very hilarious series. It was very good. At number 10, Beware the Batman. Now, this is a kind of a new series in relative terms. Now, I grew up watching Batman the Animated Series from the 90s. I then went to Batman Beyond and the Justice League series. So I was kind of hesitant about this because I was like, okay, it's a Batman series, and we've already had Beware of the Bat. We've already had the Batman and Batman the Brave and the Bold. So I was wondering how this one would work out. And I like it. It's a pretty good series. I like it's a new take on some of the story, and I like how they've shown the characters so far. We haven't seen any of the Joker or Two-Face yet, so I like how they're showing us some other characters. It's in a different setting, so I like how this one's working. At number 9, Kung Fu Panda. Now this I found very hilarious. I enjoyed the first film, and I will be honest, when I saw the series, I was excited for it. It just took them so long to actually get it out to the public. But the best part was the guy who does do the voice of Poe does very much sound like Jack Black, so they did work very hard on that, and I appreciate the effort. And I think it was good because it showed the transition from the first film into the second film, and I wonder if there will be another transition from the second film into the third film. Yeah, so this is a very good series. It shows Poe's goofiness from barely able to understand Kung Fu into mastering Kung Fu, and then on to the second film. So check it out if you get the chance. At number 8, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the series from 2008. This was very interesting. First, we have the new films, Attack of the Clones. Then we were given like 20 micro shorts, very short animated films that were done in the 2D style. And then we got the full 3D animated series, and it was great. It lasted, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. It was great because since it is technically a war going on, it does have a lot of time to cover between episode 2 and episode 3. So and this was a very good series. I liked it, and I loved how it was animated, and it had a very unique style to it. It was also pretty cool how they did the Clone Wars film also, which led to this series. So good job, LucasArts. At number 7, it's kind of a tie. Number 7 is The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, and Planet Sheen. So the Jimmy Neutron film came out. It was very good. I enjoyed it. Very funny for the concept it had to offer. It's kind of like Dexter's Lab, only for the Nickelodeon and in 3D animation. So then after the show, how does one go forward? It has a series, and the series was very good. It offered the exploits of Jimmy just trying to get by day-to-day life with his genius projects backfiring. And then they actually did 3 specials with the Fairly Odd Parents, so they had some pretty cool film crossovers. So then later on, they were like, okay, how do we keep going with Jimmy Neutron? And like, we don't. We focus on one of the other characters. So since Sheen is so weird and out there enough as it is, they decided to give him his own show, Planet Sheen. I saw this and I was surprised, and I saw a few episodes and I thought it was genuinely good. It was very funny, and they kept. Now they didn't have Carl himself. It was pretty much. It was an alien that for that 99% out of 100 was Carl in every way, shape, and form. So it was a pretty good series. I highly recommend checking them out. Checking out both. At number 6, the Rabbids. Okay, so Rayman series. I'm not sure how they would have pulled off a Rayman series, but the Rabbids Invasion. Yeah, this was this show I find incredibly hilarious. The Rabbids are just incredibly dumb, but it's funny. I mean, the show practically writes itself. Okay, scenario 1. Find a location. Scenario 2, put certain number of people in it. Scenario 3, put an object in it. Scenario 4, put 2 to 5 Rabbids in the location and just watch it all unravel. It is hilarious. Sure, it's dumb, but it's one of those shows you're not supposed to take seriously. And the best part is it's not on like at a ridiculously late hour at night. So I thought this show was very good. If you get a chance, watch it. At number 5, Action Man. I thought this was a pretty good series. It starred a guy named Action Man. Not that far of a stretch. Who was like a stunt performer who did all these extreme stunts. But then one day he finds out he has an ability to mathematically predict how an event will turn out, so he can not get hurt. He can like dodge boulders or find a way to skate properly or avoid train cars. It was a pretty good series, and I liked it. I thought it was very good, and it lasted for a good while, and it actually had the series start and end. So I liked how it was a complete series. It was very good. If you get a chance, check it out. At number 4, Max Steel. Now, there's currently a Max Steel on right now, so this Max Steel is the one from the year 2000. Max Steel and Action Man were roughly on around the same. They're roughly within the same time frame. But the premise of both was simple. Guy gets super ordinary powers, but Max Steel is different. Max Steel, he got infused with nanobots that affected him. It actually gave him strength and speed, and actually changed his physical appearance. So it was like the ultimate disguise, though granted it didn't alter his voice. It was pretty good. I liked the series. It was animated in a different style than Action Man, like even though they were both on the same time, and they were on different networks. It was a really good series. It was like spy and action, and they had a whole bunch of guest stars. And my favorite episode is when they had Tony Hawk guest star as himself. So yeah, I haven't seen the new series, but if you get a chance, you should all check out the old 2000 series. At number 3, DreamWorks Dragons. Now, I saw the first How to Train Your Dragon film, and I was amazed. I thought it was a genuinely good film. Very much enjoyed it. And I think this is great because we had the film, which then led to the series of like post end of the first film and showing all the trials and tribulations. One of the best factors is how Mark Hamill plays Alvin the Treacherous. It's pretty good, and the best part is the series ended right before the release of How to Train Your Dragon 2, so I liked it. It showed a progression of passage of time and skill and the training of the dragons and all the various adventures they would have, so I like this. It's kind of like the Kung Fu Panda thing that was mentioned earlier, so I like how this works, how shows and movies are tying in together. At number 2, Beast Wars Transformers. Oh man, I loved this series. In fact, I have the entire series on DVD. This show I just loved it. It was awesome. It was great. I mean, I loved Rhinox, I loved Rat Trap, I loved Waspinator. It was a great series. It was basically the Transformers. It was done in CGI, and it went back. They, instead of just being robots with like car or jet forms, they transformed into animals. So instead of the Autobots, they were the Maximals, max mammals, and the Decepticons were the Predacons. It was pretty great. I felt, and I think they had lots of tie-ins to the original series. It was a really great series. In fact, I loved all the characters, and even after the main series ended, they had like a follow-up series. They had a follow-up series that I wasn't that big of a fan of, but it was just great to see how the series evolved over time. It was really good. If you get a chance, check it out. I highly recommend it. And my number one greatest CGI show of all time is Reboot. That is right. This is the King of the Mountain. I saw this show. I fell in love with it. It was amazing. I loved everything about it. It was great. I mean, they did some of the games they did. They had parodies of characters, and they have parodies of movies and other stuff going on. It was so great. It was great how, in fact, this series predates Toy Story. This is what CGI was doing before Toy Story officially came out. This was amazing. You can obviously tell I like this. I have the entire series on DVD. This is great. And one of the best pieces of news I've heard recently was how Reboot is getting a reboot. I'm interested to see how this would turn out now that we have better graphics nowadays. I'm just wondering, will we get more episodes? Would they come out faster? How would they do this? This amazes me. Reboot, it shows what happens inside your computer. It has like all the sprites and bits and everything as a living creature, and how playing games affects your computer. It was a great series. I loved it. The series started off as just a bunch of one-shot episodes. It then developed into this huge, great story that lasted all the way up until the series ended. It had like I think it like ended on a movie. It was great. I was introduced to this and I loved it. I just had to get this. So if you get a chance, watch Reboot. It is amazing. It will blow your mind.
And that is my top 16 favorite CGI shows. Now, I originally had this list set up for 27, but I had to pair it off because some shows, while I liked them, I've only seen like maybe 1 or 2 episodes. And then I was like, wait a minute, I know this show, but I don't like it that much. Alright. Well, anyway, I thank you for watching. Sorry it was a long one. But until next time, this has been Pixelated Pete for my 2 bits. You want to chip in your 2 bits? Comment section below. Until next time, thank you for watching and have a nice day.